So now it's time to start. So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining the opening ceremony of the 25th International Student Summit on Food, Agriculture, and Environment, including those attending online. This year marks the 25th anniversary of ISS. Our theme is Pushing Boundaries, Inclusive Activities for Community Welfare. My name is Akihito Endo, Deputy Director of the Center for Global Initiatives and Chair of the Tokyo NODAI Committee for Global Education. It is my big pleasure to serve as your host for today's program. To begin, it is my great honor to invite Professor Dr. Fumio Eguchi, the President of Agriculture and Chair of the Board of Trustees of the Tokyo University of Agriculture Educational Corporation, to deliver the opening remarks. So please join me in welcoming President Eguchi to the stage.
Good
morning, ladies and gentlemen.
まずこの日本へ、そして東京農業大学にお越しいただきましたことを心から歓迎いたします。
I personally welcome all of you to Tokyo University of Agriculture.
本日、食と農と環境を考える世界学生サミットがここ東京農業大学世田谷キャンパスの国際センターエネモンドホールで開催されるということを本当に嬉しく思います。
I am very happy that we are hosting you to the International Student Summit on Food, Agriculture, and Environment at our NODAI International Building in Setagaya campus.
この世界学生サミットも数えること25回目を迎えることになりました。
Today we are actually welcoming the 25th anniversary of the ISS.
今回のこの学生サミットにおきましては、23の世界の国々、そして26の協定国からそれぞれご参加をいただいております。
This year we are welcoming 26 universities from 23 regions around the globe to join us at today's summit.
昨年はインドネシアの IPP 大学で開催され、成功裏にその会を終えることができました。
Last year, we are proud to successfully hold the 24th International Student Summit at IPB University in Bogor, Indonesia.
この東京農業大学で開催する今回の学生サミットは、地域の活性化、その先へということで、私たちがこの後、どういうふうにその先を目指して食、農、環境という部分を考えていくかということにおける重要な会となると私は考えています。
I believe that the summit will be a good opportunity for us to think what's going to happen for our world in the future and how we can sustainably this society for the better world for all of us.
世界各国には今気象変化、さらには食料安全保障という大きな問題を抱えている。その中で非常に重要な学生ならではのこの会議になるというふうに私は考えます。
As everyone knows that this year our world are facing many problems on climate change and also food security, and I believe that the International Student Summit will be a good opportunity for all of our students to think together of what we can do for our future.
世界各国の農、食、そして環境を学ぶ学生が活発に議論をすることで、世界をリードする何らかの発言、何らかの取りまとめが得られることと確信します。
The summit is actually the student-led conference that provides a platform for students to present their ideas and discussion. And then there will be the next generation of the leaders. So I believe that it will contribute to the realization of sustainable society.
そしてこの会議を終結し、その後26回大会はフィリピンのロスバニオス港で開催されます。
Looking ahead, the next 26th International Student Summit will be hosted next year by one of the ISS founding partner institution, the University of Philippines, Los Baños in the Philippines.
この後、鎌町学長からのビデオメッセージで皆様方にご挨拶するとともに、本日はこの会場に副学長の先生もお見えいただいていることを心から感謝申し上げます。
After this, we are honored to receive a video message from Chancellor of the UPLB, Dr. Jose V. Camacho Jr., and we are also pleased to welcome here at the venue the Vice Chancellor Harold Dean Layawin.
さらに本日は世界各国からいろいろな先生方にもお見えいただき、この世界学生サミットがこれまで学生を中心として、そして多くの先生が支えてくれているということにも心から感謝申し上げる次第です。
I also am thankful for all the advisors from our partner institution who made their time to come to our university and supporting the student summit and also the students presentations.
さらに本日はフランスのベーゼル教授がおいでいただくことによって基調講演がなされます。
And following this opening ceremony, we are honored to welcome our keynote speaker, Professor Alexander Wazel, the Director of Research of ISARA, France.
アグロエコロジーの世界的権威者である先生に敬意を表し、そしていろいろなまた学びができるということを心からお願いし、感謝申し上げる次第でございます。
We are honored because Professor Wazel is internationally recognized as a leading scholar in the field of integrated agricultural sciences. We will be hearing his significant contribution to the academic and also sustainable agriculture and food system, and we are honored to hear his talk today.
また今回の会議においては、私たちの東京農業大学の学生諸君が座長を務め、いろいろな議論を取りまとめるということ、これも学生にとって大きな経験となると思います。
Not only welcoming students from around the globe, we are also happy to welcome 14 students of Tokyo NODAI who will be chairing the sessions at today's discussions.
今日この場にお集まりの皆様方、ウェビナーでご参加の皆様方が、さらにこの世界学生サミットをもとに、また新たな学びの、そして新たな世界環境の、そして研究が大きく発展することを記念しております。
And also I'm welcoming those attending online through the Teams, and I hope that today's summit will become a place for all of you to share passion and building a sustainable society and exchanging knowledge, and also maybe expanding to more research together so it can inspire and learning from one another.
第25回の世界学生サミットを開催する東京農業大学の学長として、皆様方のご健勝と、そして学びの発展、研究の発展を記念し、開会にあたりましてのご挨拶とさせていただきます。
And I'm closing today's speech by wishing everyone a good health and also a good expansion of your research and education activity for the future. Enjoy the International Summit today.
どうもありがとうございました。Thank you very much.
Very much.
President Eguchi, for your inspiring remarks. Before we continue, I would like to share some exciting news. Well, as President Eguchi shared, The 26th International Student Summit is expected to be hosted by the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, in the Philippines. Today, we are honored to welcome Dr. Harold Lyawen Dean Zapata, Vice Chancellor of UPLB, who is representing Chancellor Jose Camacho Jr. So Chancellor Camacho has prepared a video message for us, and please direct your attention to the screen.
Konnichiwa. Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. To the esteemed leadership of Tokyo University of Agriculture, Tokyo NODAI, our valued partners and colleagues, faculty members, and most especially the student delegates from across the globe. Warm greetings from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. It is my pleasure and privilege to address you all during the opening of the 25th International Student Summit on Food, Agriculture, and Environment. Allow me to extend our warmest congratulations to Tokyo NODAI for successfully convening this milestone gathering at your Setagaya campus. For 25 iterations, the International Student Summit has served as a significant platform for dialogue, collaboration, and shared learning among young leaders committed to addressing pressing global challenges. And over the years, it has fostered not only academic exchange, but also lasting partnerships grounded in mutual respect and a shared vision for sustainable development. UPLB deeply values this spirit of collaboration, particularly in our long-standing partnership with Tokyo NODAI. Our institutions are united by a common commitment to advancing agricultural development, environmental stewardship, and community engagement. And through exchanges, joint initiatives, and shared learning experiences, we have strengthened a relationship that continues to grow in relevance and impact. This year's theme, Pushing Boundaries, Inclusive Activities for Community Welfare, is both timely and forward-looking. Across our respective countries and communities, we face complex challenges that demand inclusive, participatory, and community-driven solutions. Whether in food security, sustainable agriculture, or environmental management, meaningful progress requires that no one is left behind. The emphasis on inclusive activities underscores two important principles: that innovation must be accessible, and that development must be equitable. It calls on all of you, our dear delegates, not only to think creatively, but also to act with empathy and social responsibility. Your ideas, initiatives, and willingness to engage with communities are essential to shaping a more sustainable and inclusive future. This approach resonates strongly with UPLB's mandate as a public institution. We are committed to bridging knowledge and practice, ensuring that research and innovation translate into tangible benefits for the communities we all serve. The International Student Summit, in this regard, exemplifies how young people can take the lead in advancing solutions that are both locally grounded and globally relevant. As you engage in discussions over the next few days, I encourage you to share your experiences openly, learn from one another, and explore opportunities for collaboration. The diversity of your perspective is your strength, and through dialogue, you can co-create ideas that transcends borders. The University of the Philippines, Los Baños, is also looking forward to hosting the 26th International Students Summit in 2027. We eagerly anticipate welcoming you to our campus, where we can continue this tradition of collaborative partnership, shared learning, and collective action. In closing, I once again congratulate the Tokyo University of Agriculture for organizing the 25th International Students Summit, and I commend all the participants for your commitment to advancing community welfare through inclusive and innovative approaches. May this summit inspire meaningful conversations, lasting connections, and impactful initiatives. Maraming salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat.
So thank you very much, Chancellor Camacho, for your warm message. So please also join me in giving a warm round of applause to Vice Chancellor Zapata for joining us today. So Vice Chancellor Zapata, we are truly honored by your presence, and we look forward to gathering again at UPLB for the 26th ISS in 2027. Then, well, some of you may be wondering what ISS is and what makes it different from other conferences and summits. In the next video, you will hear reflections from our ISS advisors who have supported this program since its beginning in 2001, as well as messages from our former participants. Please enjoy the video.
My name is Minaho Kaneko. I'm a third-year student at Tokyo University of Agriculture studying microbiology. I participated as a chairperson in 2023 ISS. At ISS, I have the opportunity to directly engage with unique ideas from around the world, and through participants' presentation and activities, I could feel their enthusiasm to solve the problem in the society. I noticed a lot of things about agriculture and environment. There were some challenging situations, but I'm glad I took on the challenge. One memorable event was the discussion to determine the theme for following year's ISS. Everyone engaged in discussion until they reached satisfactory conclusion. I want to be more confident in expressing my own opinions. We may sometimes fear conflict, but through ISS, I've come to realize that different ideas can lead to great discussion and generate new solutions. Let's take a look back.
I am Murari Subedi, Professor Emeritus at Michigan State University's Department of Community Sustainability. I work as a researcher, evaluator in international settings. And my role was serving as an academic advisor to the International Student Summit and International Student Forum at Michigan State. You know, International Student Summit, or ISS, is much different from other conference, summit or workshops. It is a student-driven summit. The topics are selected by student leaders, the papers are written by students and then presented by students. The whole summit is organized by students. In my opinion, a capacity building, leadership capacity building program in agricultural colleges and universities. So it is very unique. Leadership development. This is a practical course. You know, all these ISS, ISF activities are so practical, extracurricular activities to learn leadership skills, to master those skills, you know, to communicate in cross-cultural setting.
Okay, my name is Rie Miyaura. I am a professor and the Deputy Director of Center for Global Initiatives of Tokyo University of Agriculture. The Student Summit, the uniqueness is the activity and the action by the student. So we have a lot of the academic society meetings or the research conference, but that is focusing on the research outcome. But the ISS is focusing on how the student can motivate to change the world, to change the society, and discuss with the student actions. That is the very, very different from the other conference of the meetings. Summit can be organized 100% by the student, not only the limited area, but also cooperate and help each other and organize to held the Student Summit. Please do not give up to think about and create more better way for the future so the young people can change the world and can create the better future. So please utilize the International Student Summit to discuss and see the friend who are very seriously think about agriculture and food like you.
I'm Mina Nokon Shimaguchi, an associate professor from the Department of Agribusiness Management, Tokyo University of Agriculture. I'm also the current advisor of the International Students Forum. So I was part of the first ISS in 2001 and the second ISS in 2002. I was the general chairperson. There are so many presentations from different countries, from different sister universities, and it's our role to actually summarize it and know what were the common issues and how the students actually position themselves on how to actually solve those problems. The first ISS is the most memorable because it was the first one. All the students were given the opportunity and the responsibility to actually organize this big event. We first didn't know what to do. Through so many discussions about food, agriculture, and environment, we learned that there were so many common problems despite differences in countries, culture, around, and etc. And we pulled it out. It was a success. That's why there was a second ISS, and now more than 20 years ISS. To all the students, I hope that you challenge yourself to be part of this ISS, of this Student Summit, and collaborate with other students from around the world and try to solve different problems that you have in your communities or in your countries. Start small and make a big difference.
My name is Machito Mihara. Our current position is Director, Center for Global Initiative, as well as a professor at the Faculty of Regional Environment Science, Tokyo University of Agriculture. In Tokyo University of Agriculture, we have 23 departments in 6 faculties. And then the number of laboratories, we have over 150. So every laboratory has the specific scientific fields. When I speak about their academic societies, we have the thousands of academic societies. And then the students and the faculty members have been attending, and then they have been discussing their originality of their outcome. It is a character of their laboratory work as well as their regular academic society. I mean, including conference and seminars. But the ISS is totally different. One thing is ISS is student-oriented activities. And then it is toward achieving or contributing to sustainable society. Sustainability stands on environmental, social, and economic components. So we are expecting one student to discuss with other fields, and then maybe integrating their idea toward sustainability. Maybe you are familiar with these terms. Think globally, act locally. But I would like to add for sustainability. One of the most important keywords I can say is sustainability. So we have some opportunity to use the sustainability, but we must understand the real meaning. So it should stand on environment, social, and the economic aspects. Yeah, so the most important keywords, I think, when we discuss for ISS is sustainability.
Hi, my name is Hiroki Sato. I am a freshman at Tokyo NODAI. I study molecular and microbiology. I was a general chairperson and a chairperson for Group D and also the tech support for the ISS of summer 2023. A valuable lesson I learned in ISS was that I got to work together through people from different countries. My group had about 5 countries, I think, 5 people from 5 different countries, and working together and changing our schedules to actually fit the weekly meetings was a hard task, but it was a unique experience. And well, I personally think that they were actually doing more hard work than I am because I was only the organizer. So what I felt and what they felt, I think there was a big difference, but in the end we came to like one big conclusion as a group. So I think that's kind of an amazing thing to think about.
I'm Moeka Numata and I'm working an agriculture consulting company. I participated ISS in 2019 as a presenter. I understand a diverse culture from all participants from all over the world. I got communication skill from ISS, and it's very good my job because my job is consultant, so I have to speak a lot of people. So I got communication skill is very useful for my job.
Hello everyone, I am Ayumi Takeichi from Tokyo University of Agriculture. So now I'm second grade over there and my majoring is International Food and Agriculture Science. I participated in the ISS from July to August 2023. And I participated as a presenter. I think ISS is a powerful platform for students who want to learn about agriculture, food, and environment. Through other participants, I got a lot of confidence.
My name is Alec Kasir, and I'm a certified student of this university, Tokyo University of Agriculture and Animal Molecular Biology Laboratory. And now I'm researching about the autism mouse, model mouse. I participated in this international student summit when I was a third grade student, and I participated as a chairperson. I have a lot of experience through the participating ISS as a chairperson. For example, the organizing a group members and advising to the group members presentation. And most useful things for me is increasing the self-confidence.
Well, I hope the video has given you a better understanding of the spirit and the uniqueness of ISS. Well, and the video was prepared a few years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, so you might notice that the positions are a bit different from the present one, and I apologize for that. Then, at this time, President Eguchi has another engagement and will now take his leave. Please join me in thanking him once again with a round of applause. Okay, thank you. So next, it is my pleasure to invite Professor Rie Miyaura, Director of the Center for Global Initiatives at Tokyo University of Agriculture and Chair of the ISS Advisors Committee, to deliver her remarks and to introduce the advisors joining us today. Professor Rie Miyaura, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for your introduction. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Are you fine? Okay, I'm very glad to see all. We have now 27 presenters from 26 different universities and 23 from the country and region. And we have 14 chairs of Tokyo University of Agriculture. So we are very excited to have your discussion. So it's my great honor to say a few words on behalf of the advisory committee for the International Student Summit. So more than 50 years have passed since the international community first came together to discuss the relationship between human development and the environment at the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment held in Stockholm in 1972. At that time, the world recognized the importance of protecting and improving the human environment, both for present and the future generations. Since then, we have continued to face one fundamental question: how can the present generation maintain and improve its life without doing so far at the expense of future generations? Or in other words, how we can pursue development without sacrificing future generations? In the world has responded to this question throughout many international efforts. The Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in 1992, the Millennium Development Goals after the Millennium Summit in 2000, and the sustainable development goals adopted in 2015. Through these processes, the humanity has continued to challenge itself to sustain the Earth, society, and human life. The International Student Summit has a history of about half the length. Yet the 25 summits, it has consistently pursued a very important missions to bring students together from diverse countries, regions, culture, and academic fields to share their experiences, to think about the actions, and in a broader sense, the movement. From the standpoint of their own disciplines, and to exchange ideas over several days in order to take a new step towards the future. This student summit has never been only a place for presentation. It has been a place where young people encounter different realities, different way of thinking, and different hopes. It has been a place where future leaders are nurtured through dialogues, friendship, and mutual learning. In the field of agriculture and food systems, one approach has developed over a similar period in response to the question of sustainability. This approach is an agroecology. And agroecology asked how we can build agriculture and food system that are ecologically sound, the socially fair, and economically viable, and rooted in the realities of local communities. It connects science, practice, and social movement. It also reminds us that sustainable development in agriculture is not only a technical issue. It's also a question of values, relationship, justice, and responsibility to future generations. For this reason, it is deeply meaningful that we are able to welcome Professor Dr. Alexander Wetzel, one of the world leading scholar in agroecology, as the keynote speakers for this 25th anniversary Student Summit. The title is Agroecology on the Move, Pathway for a Sustainable Future in Agriculture and Food System. So directly addresses the challenge of today's agriculture and food systems, and the development of agroecology and the pathway for transition towards more sustainable system. On behalf of the advisory committees and as representatives of the faculty members from partner universities who have worked just a little bit ahead of the students, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Professor Wetzel for accepting our invitation and joining us here today. At this commemorative summit, many of you bring with you a challenge faced in your own countries and regions. You also bring your own visions for the future. What we as advisors can do is to provide an opportunity for those concerns and visions to be supported, deepened, and connected through the academic knowledge and the international dialogue. After that, the main role belongs to you, the students. For today's until Friday, you will be here to support. We will be here to support you and to watch your discussion with great expectations. I hope you will speak freely, listen carefully, and challenge one another respectfully, and fully enjoy the opportunity to exchange ideas with peers from around the world. May this 25th International Student Summit be not only a celebration of the path we have walked together, but also a new beginning of the journey ahead. May encounters, discussions, and friendship you experience here inspire you to take your next steps for future leaders, as a future leaders, toward a more sustainable, inclusive, and hopeful world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Miyaura. We will now move on to today's keynote speech. It is my great pleasure to introduce Professor Alexander Vezel, who will speak on the topic, Agroecology on the Move, Pathways for a Sustainable Future in Agriculture and Food Systems. So Professor Vezel is a global leader in the field of agroecology. For nearly 2 decades, he has shaped the discipline as a science, practice, and social movement, bridging the gap between research, farming, and public policy. As a professor at ISR in France, he remains at the forefront of advancing agroecological transitions in Europe and beyond. Marking his first ever visit to Japan, he will share his vision for the future. So please join me in welcoming Professor Vezel to the stage.
No? Okay. Because then I can move a little bit. As I'm also teaching, I cannot just stand behind a desk like this and always just look at the computer. So I'm very happy and very grateful to be here today. Oh, that's the other I wanted to go backwards. How does it go back? Oh, no, I just was too quick. Yeah, so first, let me thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very grateful to be here today, especially Dr. Miyaura, which was meeting me just a few months ago. And then finally, I ended up here in Japan, my first time in Japan also. So I was very happy to accept it immediately, as I was very curious also to see what is happening, especially on agroecology also in Asia. So I'm coming from Isara. Isara is like a small university. It's not called a university. In France, you have these special schools, and we are one of these schools. We are also representing our Center for Living Agroecology and Food Systems. What I want to do today with you is to go to the current challenges of agriculture and the food systems, then speaking about the development of agroecology and the major elements, while some had been already mentioned. I will repeat them maybe a little bit more in depth. Then look at the different diverse performances of agroecology, and at the end speak a little bit about transition pathways. So the challenges of today's agriculture and food systems, President Eguchi already mentioned climate change, for example, or food security. So here I come up with a few examples from Europe, but which apply probably also in other continents. So agriculture and nitrate in the groundwater to have pollution or overuse of fertilizers and ending up in the groundwater, and with this nitrate. Then in Europe we have also a health problem, I would call it. Others would just say it's not a big problem. I say it's a big problem. We have, if you look at the fruits and vegetables in the EU, many contain multiple pesticide residues, not some even beyond the legal threshold. Then, in addition, there was a try to decrease pesticide use in the last 10 years, Well, it's not working so well. There was a little bit of sale decrease in the last years, but it's still going on. Even there were big programs in many countries, and even the EU policy. So, you know, the European Union, they have also special policies in place, which should then be applied in the different member countries. And then the EU agriculture impacts the climate. Well, not only the EU agriculture, but also other agriculture. Globally, we have this problem with biodiversity loss, and you see the countries which are more yellow and red, that's where we have a degradation of biodiversity, and some of the biodiversity is very much needed for our agricultural production. Then if we look at some examples of this biodiversity, so we have decreasing birds generally, but especially, well, that's particularly in Europe, farmland birds, because habitats are disappearing and overuse of pesticides also led to decrease them. But they can also function for controlling, for example, insects, which are pests on our crops. Then decreasing pollinators. Well, with this, we have a big problem because without pollinators, our fruits will not grow anymore, and many of the vegetables also. An insect decline was also measured in some countries now in Europe. Some of you might say, oh, these insects, they are just bothering me, like mosquitoes and others. But there are also many good insects which we need for pest control because they function as natural, so-called natural enemies. And then we often forget there is something below us, below our feet in the soil, so soil biodiversity, which assures the good functioning of the soil. And without having this good functioning of the soil, we will not produce our crops. Coming to the climate change, well, global greenhouse gas emissions coming from food production. Well, we have also other things like energy consumption of ourselves. But if you look, it's estimated that about 26% of all greenhouse gas emissions comes from food production, which includes, just looking if this, oh yeah, it's working. Somewhere, oh, it's difficult to manage. So coming from land use, well, land use change with deforestation or burning, then 27%, well, of these 26% here coming from crop production, using fertilizer, for example. A lot comes from livestock production, and then some also, of course, when we have to process it, to store it, and to transport it. But that's a big contribution if we look all over the world for agricultural. But we need some agriculture. We need to feed ourselves also. And then if you look more specifically at the global supply chains, and it's not so big to see, I'll just show you here. If you look at the first ones, which have overall the highest emissions of greenhouse gas emissions, so that's beef, well, animal. Then comes next lamb, well, then cheese production, beef dairy, so milk. Then just comes chocolate and coffee, palm oil, and then again pig meat, poultry. So you see, if we want or not, we just have to recognize that a lot of the greenhouse gas emissions comes especially from animal production. This is not saying against animal production; it's just a result. Then you might have heard about this planetary boundaries. So the world is in the middle and we are going beyond the planetary boundaries. I'll show it a little bit more clearly on this slide. So I just pick out some of them. So if we're on the green side, then it's estimated that we are good on that safe operating space. The yellow is already increasing risk. So we are going beyond the boundaries. And then the red, purple ones goes already in the high risk zone. So for freshwater change, we are already entering the risk zone, so increasing risk. Climate change, well, I mentioned it before, we are already towards the high risk zone. And I just can tell you, now coming from France, well, originally I'm from Germany, but living now and working since 18 years in France. We had 2 weeks now, 38, 39, 40 degrees. That's unusual. That's just not normal anymore. That's climate change. Then if we look at the modification of biochemical flows, especially phosphorus and nitrogen, we are already much beyond the planetary boundaries because of having overuse of these nutrients and finding it in our ecosystems. And then change in biosphere integrity, that means especially functional biodiversity. There already we have lost so much biodiversity and some we need for our agricultural production. Then if we look at the key problems in the global food system, so you see the black line, which indicates the million of people which are undernourished or obesity, which are undernourished. And you see there was, with the Sustainable Development Goals, the world managed to go down a little bit until 2018, but then with different reasons, wars and also climate problems and bad droughts in some areas, we went up again and we are a higher level than before. Now, if you look at the number, we are around 680 million people which are undernourished. The orange line just shows this in the percentage. And on the other side, we have now many people which are overweight or even obesity. So if you look just at the top left numbers, we have we moved from around 2,000 million to 879 million in 2022. That's more than the undernourished people. So this is a big problem of the food system. That means one in 8 people are in the situation being overweight or in obesity. So there I can already make a small conclusion that even there were quite a lot of advances with conventional agriculture, with the Green Revolution. So there was good things while we were managing increasing yields, feeding more people in the world, especially after the Second World War, where there was a big problem on many continents. But finally, it did not succeed. So we are going towards a dead end a little bit because it cannot hold the promises anymore, which started with the Green Revolution. So we need alternatives or other systems which can be maybe improving our situation for the future. So there, Dr. Miyaura has already mentioned it. So agroecology can be one of this. It has emerged as a key solution in the last years, decades, and now is gaining even significant global momentum. And well, that's also, it seems that why I was invited here to speak about it a little bit more. So there's the question, what is agroecology? I try to do it just in a few pictures, and then I tell you more about it, of course. So if you took a look at the top left, there are different good practices, which we can call agroecological practices. You see diversified farming systems, cows which are still feeding outside and grazing. We have diversified agroecosystems. We have the food production, also local food production, good quality production, which was not harming while it was produced, the environment. And very important for agroecology is knowledge creation and knowledge sharing, and not just science comes in, knows everything. We see it does not work, but also farmers know a lot, and we have to recognize that there is these both knowledges which are very important, and agroecology tries to take this into account. So just some of you might not know really when started agroecology. You see, it started already almost 100 years ago. I come back to this in the next slide with some first publications. At the beginning, it was purely science. And then from the 19 onwards, there were 3 major elements which developed. On the one side, science continued. There were certain practices which were developed and then also called agroecological practices. And there was, in addition, the third element, the movement. But the movement, I can tell you, we need the movement. And today we can say there is a crossover because it's not like a silo. There are things where we have science looking at practice and the practice is informing science, and the movement is also influence science or pushing the science to go in certain directions what to research better on. And something which is clear is that there are some cases of agroecology which are visible, but many are not visible or not discovered or not mentioned like this. I guess also, well, we will see it when we discuss this afternoon about in our workshop, do farmers here speak about agroecology or agroecological practices? Do you know about in your home country that this is really applied in many in your countries? So with this, I come to the diversity in agroecology. This is the 3 main elements which had been mentioned. I just want to go quickly through them again. So within science, you can distinguish the plot field approach, then the agroecosystems ecology, which is more at the farm or landscape scale, and then the ecology of the food system. Important for the movement is that they started differently. So you can have movements which started more from the environmental side, so environmentalism, or from the rural development. And then today we have also quite some social and political movements, and now even some policies. I will briefly speak about them more later. And then the different practices. So if you look at the agroecology as a set of practices, these are just some examples I wanted to highlight today. So I just focus on some agroecological cropping practices and along a scale of application from the field, the cropping system, then to the landscape. So you see on the bottom left, direct seeding into living cover crops. That's one of the agroecological practices. Reduced tillage on the bottom right. Organic fertilization with manure or compost or biofertilizers. Then biological pest control, or now having also natural pesticides. So we have alternatives to the chemical pesticides. Then intercropping. Cover crops is very important, diversified crop rotations. That means not only having 2 or 3 crops in a line, but having more and more over 5 or 10 years even. Cultivar mixtures, we had this before, many farmers applied it decades ago. Now we are coming back and say, well, it's good to mix some cultivars. And agroforestry systems, that's often more dominating in the tropics and subtropics. And then finally, more at the landscape scale, but applies also at the field and the farm scale, the integration or reintegration of semi-natural landscape elements like grass strips, hedgerows, and other, because they have different functions and can provide some ecosystem services like harboring the beneficial insects, which can then take pest control or erosion control or microclimate regulation. Then agroecology as a social and political movement. So behind is often a demand on food sovereignty and autonomy for local populations. So that's especially in many countries in the global south, and this was very strong there is Latin America. Then it includes movements of peasants, of indigenous people, farmer groups, farmer cooperatives. So well, you might have heard about La Via Campesina, which is just one of them. And in the center is always also the co-creation of knowledge. And well, in more Latin America, they call it campesino to campesino exchange, so farmer to farmer exchange. But there's also, that's one example I wanted to share with you from Europe. So Agroecology Europe as an NGO actor in Europe, it's an association which tries to promote and advocate at the EU Brussels place also to policymakers to advocate for policy change. So it's they are promoting agroecology-based sustainable farming and food systems. If you want, you can have a look at it. You have also ISS, that's a special tool where you can use for evaluating farms. And then the scientific discipline. Just a very one slide only to show you where it started. So it started, it's difficult maybe to see from behind, but that means here 1928. So that's, I once looked with my colleague from the library some years ago when I started also to discover what is agroecology, because it was not clear for me also when I started in France. So I needed all this also to understand it better, even if I did already agroecology before without knowing. So there was this first publication in 1928, then in the 1950s some, and then in 1965, which is often not known, is there was the first book ever called Agroecology, written by a German Tischler, so the German term Agrarökologie, and not these books which are later much more well-known, which came from Miguel Altieri and Steve Kliesmann. And it's a very nice book. And then from the 1980s, 1990 onwards, there came more publications on agroecology, and then when in 2000 onwards, the food system dimension also entered into agroecology, then publications increased, and you see it. Now I put a red flash there because there was another publication in 2021. And today, if you would search for the keywords in agroecology and publications on the title and in different languages, you might go up to somewhere here in the sky, 800, 1,000 per year now. So what about the development in the world of agroecology? I'll just try to picture some screenshots from different continents. On the top left, you see something from Africa. So more and more there is agroecology also, which wants to be developed by, on the one side, policymakers, by research also, but there is a long also movement for agroecology. Then in the middle and the top left, top right, from Asia, there is this Agroecology Learning Alliance. There is ASEA, that's the Agroecology of Southeast Asia. That's a program where different universities from Southeast Asia are involved, and also CIRAD in France. And I could visit the program 2 years ago when I was also visiting Vietnam for this. And then on the bottom left, well, this is in Spanish, but there is a Latin American Scientific Society for Agroecology. And the heart, for example, of the movements on agroecology started especially in Brazil, Chile, and Colombia. And then on the bottom right, we have in Europe now a big program which is funded by the EU Commission and national states about the so-called agroecology partnership, involving hundreds of partners, a lot of a big program, and to accelerate agroecology and especially the agroecology living labs and research infrastructures. So one important report I wanted to mention is the one about agroecology and other innovative approaches, which had been published 6 years ago. No, it's 7 now already, which was provided or written by the HLPE, so that's a high-level panel of experts, and this was done in the frame of the Committee on World Food Security. And why I mentioned this is that this report also provided quite some policy recommendations, and as it was validated by the World Committee on World Food Security and also by FAO, some of these recommendations were really taken up now by national governments. I saw it in Germany, for example. They could refer to say, well, that's if this is an international report recognized by all the member countries of FAO, then it must have also a certain value. So that's why agroecology entered a little bit at higher level, the policy level, policy sphere. And one important production out of this was the definition of the 13 principles of agroecology. So if you look at them on the bottom, they are with recycling, the input reduction, soil health, animal health, and biodiversity. In the middle is more the synergy and economic diversification. And central to these principles is the co-creation of knowledge, which I mentioned already before. And then the orange ones, or with the orange numbers, are more the ones which are applying at the food system, where the greener ones are more at the agroecosystems level. So social values and diets, fairness, participation, land and natural resource governance, and connectivity. I want to show a little bit, very few examples also, what is out there in Europe that you could imagine what are behind different initiatives, cases, examples for agroecology in Europe. So this was done via the mapping agroecology in Europe, which can include farmers and actor groups, local food initiatives, networks and NGOs, education and training initiatives. And all these are not always named agroecology, but can be recognized as agroecology. So just some examples. So I have 6 examples. So on the top left, and I search it here. So from Sweden, and you always have to look also at these icons a little bit. So a case which is more an example for practical application is the community-supported agriculture system in Sweden, but it has also elements of education. Then in the middle from Slovenia, the Association of Organic Growers and Processors in Deteljica, if I pronounce it correctly, which is a movement, but has also elements of education and practice. On the top right, something which can be called today a living lab, and has also some practical involvement. The Solidary Economic District of Friuli di Miege in Italy. And bottom left from Spain, which is more movement, the Andalusian Seed Network, cultivating biodiversity, especially for the seeds. And this also about a real application in practice. In the middle, from Denmark, the Regenerative Agricultural School, one example for education primarily. And then on the bottom right, a small association, but also a good example of how they want to put forward agroecology is the Ecolocal, the Association of Eco and Artisan Consumers and Producers in Moldova. It's a very small country. I don't know if in Europe, I don't know if you ever heard about it. So if you're more interested to have an idea of what is there out already in agroecology, there are 3 book volumes and they represent the different countries which you see in different colors. They're all online. You can download them and look at hundreds of pages if you want to be inspired by examples. If you're from Europe, then you can look for your home country. For Asia, we still have to do it. Maybe we will try. Now coming to the diverse performances of agroecology. Because it's clear when you speak to farmers and policymakers, because sometimes I work also in Brussels and have discussions with some of the policymakers there from what they call DG Agri, so that's the Director General, which is beneath the EU Commission for Agriculture. And they say, okay, but does it work, agroecology? Can we expect something from it? If we want to have policies, we want to know clearly that if there is some evidence in which direction it can help farmers. There is now, but it took some time, and you will see I have some examples which come more from the recent years because it took quite a while until the research also could really show this. So there is the first example is about the socioeconomic performance of agroecology. Well, I was also involved there. And some of my students, while Quintan is from the Philippines, for example, she was one of my students, where we screened 13,000 publications and tried to retrieve publications where on the one side there was application of agroecological practices, and on the other side there was really a measurement of some socioeconomic indicators. Most of the publications so far come from the Global South. And what was mainly found in these publications, and I just highlight them in red, on which practices there is now some more evidence, especially agroforestry and intercropping and tillage management. There were others, but in numbers, that's the most dominating one, which you can find in literature. And this is the different indicators. So I come back to them later with some more results. You can distinguish between the so-called financial capital, well, indicators which are very important for the farmers, of course, income, production costs, revenue or efficiency and productivity, capital and investment costs or returns, autonomy. On the human capital, it's mainly 2 indicators which came out from the studies: labor requirements and return to labor or labor costs also. Social capital, there was almost nothing present so far measured or assessed in publications. Now it comes a question to you. So for how many outcomes do you think agroecological practices perform better than the conventional ones? So A, 35, 51, or 70? Now I want your hands up so that we have at least one small interaction here in this lecture. So who is for A? Who thinks 35%? With more for 51%? So there are some, and all the others are for 70%. Who is for 70? So more optimistic. So in fact, the good answer is 51. Well, if you look at everything, so all comparisons, there were hundreds of comparisons behind in these different papers. If you look at, well, 51 are positive outcomes, 30 are negative. Then there are some which are neutral. You don't see a difference. And some are inconclusive because from one year to another it was different or from different sites. But you could also have said 70, because 70 is also not so wrong if you look at which outcomes are better or equal than conventional. So that would be then the 70%. And where do we have them mainly? If we go back to the more detailed results. So the positive outcomes came mainly from the financial capital matrix. And that's the most important one for the farmers. Because at the end of the day, they want to have do I have higher income, which could be often shown? Can I have decreased production costs? Is my yearly revenue higher? And do I also have income stability and not too much variations from one year to another? The negative outcomes, in contrast, were mainly related well, only to the, but it's still important, of course, to the labor requirements and labor costs, because often this was an important factor, especially in horticulture production. And then, well, the 9% neutral or inconclusive. The overall trends are positive, but there are quite big variations depending on the parameters analyzed. And you will never, if you would do the same thing only within conventional agriculture, you would also have high variations. I just pick out one, agroforestry, because it was the most often found in literature. So there's a little bit more than 50% positive outcomes, a little bit around 1/3 negative, and the rest is neutral or inconclusive. And now if you look more at the detailed indicators, or metrics, which we call them, because behind there are different indicators. And if you look at the green ones, there are this dark green and this light green. It's just a difference if they were with statistical tests or without, because sometimes the comparison for the practices was not was not shown with the statistical tests. But you see, for income, for example, it's much more greener than red. The red is more the negative outcomes. Production costs, well, there were both cases, so there is not a clear conclusion. Revenue also much better for in applying different agroecological practices within agroforestry, and the same for efficiency and capital investment returns. Whereas for labor requirements, it was quite balanced. Now I come to another publication, which is a little bit older and had different cases, also almost all coming from the Global South, which looked at 9 different practices and from 17 different studies. And here, if you look, I just look at the bottom ones, farm profitability, and also applying agroecological practices, and then different socioeconomic parameters behind. You see that 66%, and the dark blue means it's better than conventional. So the 2/3 were better, 11 were neutral, and 23 of the cases or examples, the comparisons were less good for agroecology. And you see more or less the same thing. They looked also at the yields. If we look at the financial capital indicators, it gives you more or less the same picture, with 2/3 were positive outcomes and less than 1/3 negative ones. And behind the financial capital is yield, farm profitability, income stability, and recognition assessment of transition costs. Whereas for human capital, you see it's only low numbers. It's just so only 7 studies. Statistically, you say, well, it's not enough. But there is more or less the same as we see before. There can be also problematic situations with labor productivity or labor costs or labor demand, for example. Then one specific case, well, an example also from Europe, which looked also at the economic potential of agroecology a few years ago. And I just have the overview table of the different cases. It was like case studies, where you see on the right-hand side, if the percentages are positive and in green, then the agroecological farms were better than the conventional farms. So one example is from the Netherlands, farming economically. So the criteria was labor income per 100 kilogram of milk. Or then in France, grassland-based farming, family income per family worker, also 73% higher. Germany, low concentrate feeding, which gives higher income per dairy farm. And there was one case study only where it was less good with agroecology, which was in the wine growing example from Portugal, where fossil energy consumption was lower. But this was just some spotlights on some case studies. And now I mentioned before, well, for Agroecology Europe, there is this OASIS, so the original agroecological survey and indicator system, which looks at indicators in 5 different dimensions. So agroecological practices, economic viability, social political aspects, environment and biodiversity and resilience, and then you can produce such radar charts which give you indications. I will just highlight in 2 slides some examples, which is dealing with different farms in Belgium, France, and Italy. And inside, you see also many students, which were, well, students of mine, which participated there in the study. and could then also provide their inputs there. So this is an example of, for the dimension adoption of agroecological farming practices. And you see the different categories of farming practices, and then the grading goes from 1 to 5. So 1 is not very conventional. If I take the soil tillage example, plowing, everything is plowed. And 5 will be no-till cover crops everywhere on the whole farm. And there was distinguished between the blue lines or dotted lines, which come from conventional agriculture, but distinguishing between crop production, crop livestock production, or livestock production, and the yellow, slightly orange ones is from organic production. And you see the organic farms, which can be seen as more model farms in relation to agroecology, did overall better for almost all practices. But what I wanted to show behind is, if we now look at an overall farm score for these 4 dimensions and the economic viability, the higher your overall farm score for agroecology is, the better is also your economic viability. And you see there was also a significant correlation with this. Well, as it was mentioned before, climate change. So this is also a more recent review on multiple agroecological practices used in climate change mitigation. So how can we decrease greenhouse gas emissions, or is there something which can decrease greenhouse gas emissions? And on the other side, have carbon sequestration, because we sequester carbon dioxide in our soils and less organic matter. Also 16,000 publications screened, and to look what happens out there. Also examples from, but there are examples from all over the world. So if you look at carbon sequestration, and here is an overview graph for publications where there were also tests applied or could be found, because there were multiple practices, so at least 2 practices or up to 5 different agroecological practices implemented at this all together. So carbon stocks, clearly sequestration much better with agroecology, so the green one, compared to very few which are on negative only. There were quite a lot non-statistically significant, so that's why we said, no, you cannot say it's better, even if there was a little bit higher. Then for N2O, also a little bit better for agroecology. Methane, so CH2, not really. So this is, there you cannot say go to agroecology and we will have less methane production, because it's mainly related to manure production and manure use, for example, as organic fertilizer. And then the carbon dioxide, some is better with agroecology compared to conventional, but also a lot of cases where you cannot say it's better or less good. You cannot imagine to measure these greenhouse gas emission is methodologically so difficult. So that's also, if then you just measure a few days or a few months, it's very difficult also to have a lot of repetitions to get more statistical significance. So if you mix everything, the examples with the tests, so statistical tests, and the one which did have not statistical tests, the positive outcomes were around near to 50%. If you took everything into account, carbon sequestration, greenhouse gas emissions, the neutrals or a lot are also, it's not better or worse. And the negative outcomes were clearly in the minority. And where do we find them? And the negative outcomes are really related to methane production, so CH2. If you look at the differences of the farming production systems a little bit, if I take the arable one, because there are the most examples, clearly carbon stock is much better compared to conventional farming, greenhouse gas emissions also better. And if you look at the carbon stock everywhere, carbon stock, so you always get more carbon into the soil if you have different agroecological practices applied. Rice, you see greenhouse gas emissions. Well, you can expect this because the water and then the stagnant water and you have methane production. This is inherent to the system also. Then the last one about the question food security and nutrition, which was mentioned also this morning as one of the big challenges by President Higuchi. So there was also a big review also involving students, well, from ISARA and others which were from Cornell University, because we're the setup of a joint student group. That's just a summary of all in looking at the different papers and different papers which they have from one agroecological component to 4 that can be either practices or a type of practice. And the cases with positive outcomes, which you see are much better with agroecology compared to the negative outcomes. And if you look at this question of food security and nutrition, what was measured there? For example, the more diversified nutrition available in the household, or more money available to send children to the school, or having higher income, and with this spending higher amount for food and diversity of food, or also having higher diversity of own food consumption coming from their own production, so having better nutritional quality. That's just a few examples. The indicators are very diverse. And the last one, which was just published 1 week ago by the EU Commission, it's very new, and well, they use data sets from our studies also to make a big analysis about the yield and economic performance of agroecology and transition in the global south. So a meta-analysis. It just gives you the 3 main results. They found, well, if you compare applying agroecological practices compared to conventional ones, yields increased around 40% across all studies. Gross income by of around 45%, and production costs decreased, which is very important by farmers. And today, well, you know, with the fuel crisis and other crises we have over the last years, I know you're the young generation. You just well, you live now in a period, a decade of crisis, which we did not know when we were younger. And then the costs of fuel went up, fertilizer prices went up, also chemical pesticides. And all this is then for farmers today. Some of the organic farmers in France say, well, we are not unhappy with the situation at the moment, because comparatively, we have not this big production cost rise, which have many conventional farmers at the moment. By the end, speaking about transitions, so this I took a graph from the HLPE report, where you can distinguish on the left-hand side the systems where we started, where before the human population increased all over the world. We had these natural ecosystems, which were high diversity and high dependence on ecological processes. And then we started, well, with traditional farming. And the more human control we took, we went to the right. And on the right-hand side, you can distinguish between, well, the conventional agricultural system, which is very capital intensive and also input intensive. In the middle, something which you can call sustainably intensified system, or towards the agroecological system, which are also very knowledge and labor intensive. So how to move from these different ones? And here you can take the food systems transition levels, which had been proposed by Kliesman, and the first levels had been developed by other people before, where you look at level 1, well, increase the input use efficiency, 2nd, substitution, 3rd, redesign, for reconnecting the 2 most important parts of the food system, consumers and producers. And well, 5th would be maybe our dream, to have a new global food system, which is fair. So how could these transitions look like? So if you could look at the first level input use efficiency, though there are practices which are applied also by many conventional farmers, of course, split fertilization, that you use less chemical or fertilizers at the right moment to decrease, or you use more. Another example now, you integrate much more leguminous species in crop rotations or intercropping, because they provide you free nitrogen fertilizer. We had examples where it was 80 kilograms which were available for the next crop just because of intercropping with different leguminous species. Then substitution. That means, for example, replacing chemical fertilizers with organic fertilizers or compost, or pesticides by biological control. And then the redesign. The redesign is if you go to practices or you want to change more your whole farming system, sometimes you need to redesign. You cannot just say, oh, I take this practice and I apply it and then it will work. Sometimes, exactly, for example, if you have, oh, I guess an echo over there. I can stay here. For example, the no-till system, you cannot just say, I do no-till now and direct seeding. You need new machinery, different crop rotations, new ways of implementing the cover crops and other things. So you have to really redesign your whole farming system. You cannot just change a small thing. But this is very much needed, I think, for many, many farmers. And then to the level 4, well, how to connect better consumers and farmers again, or reconnect, which we had in former times. Examples are these short supply chains, value supply chains, alternative food systems, and local and regional market systems. And then at the top level, well, have fair trade agreements. At the moment, oh, that's not so easy in the world. There's more things against this. Non-power concentration in the agri-food sector, and also the approaches within circular economy. So with this, I come to my conclusions. So there is an increasing development of agroecology in many parts of the world, including a large diversity of what we can call agroecologies, because there's not the one agroecology. A lot remains hidden and is not visible as agroecological at the moment. Then there is a growing evidence now that the socioeconomic performance of agroecology is coming up. But I must say, it's never working 100%. The same in conventional agriculture. If it worked 100% in conventional agriculture, why are so many farmers giving up farmers? Why are we have just the big farmers now sometimes surviving? At least in Europe, I don't know here for Japan. So you never have a 100 proof that this or this will work. There is always so much variability. But there is growing evidence about this. Then food security and nutrition. Well, agroecology is very important, as you have seen. Climate change, agroecology can contribute, but it's also not the only one solution. We have to think for all systems there. How can we decrease a little bit the greenhouse gas emissions from agricultural production? And well, there are different transition pathways, and some farmers are already there. They're doing it. I have many examples in France, in Italy, in Spain, which I see, well, they're practicing agroecology without always calling it agroecology. But there are there are some policies yet, but the political will is strongly lacking, or there's even policies which are clearly hindering with subsidies which are not in the right way. For Japan or Asia, I cannot say, but in Europe, there can be much more done and having much more progress in the future. With this, I thank you for your attention, and I hope you could get some insights about agroecology now.
Thank you very much, Professor Wetzel. Your keynote lecture has been truly insightful, and we sincerely appreciate the knowledge and perspectives you have shared with us today. Please join me in giving Professor Wetzel another round of applause. So, before moving on to our next sessions, we will take a 10 minutes break. So please return to the venue and be seated by. So for those joining online, we will resume the program at 10:40. Thank you. So welcome back, everyone. Without further ado, we will begin our next session. This session will highlight the journey of ISS from its first gathering to today's 25th anniversary and explore its impact on participants over the years. We will also hear messages from ISS alumni. It is my great pleasure to welcome Professor Dr. Nina Shimoguchi, ISS and ISF advisor and an ISS alumna herself. So, Professor Shimoguchi, the floor is yours.
Good morning to our online participants. Thank you very much for coming. I know some of you are on your way to sleep, or some of you just woke up, but thank you for coming. For the alumni who are here, we did it. It's the 25th. For those in the audience right now, in the floor, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nina Shimoguchi.
professor of Department of Agriculture, Agribusiness Management, Tokyo NODAI. So my involvement in ISS. So why me? I also don't know why me. But you can see from the first, I'm the co-leader and the general chairperson, and the second, the same. And then on the 10th, I'm the chairperson, special session chairperson. And from 2018, ISS committee member. And then later you will know there's an ISF too, and I'm the advisor of that. And then the 20th speaker also. And now I'm part of the working group. So I think you know why it's me. So thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I didn't expect that ISS will come until this. It's because of all of you. So this session will be in two parts, just simple. Humble beginnings of ISS and beyond, and ISS alumni testimonials, as mentioned by Endo Sensei. So before I explain about ISS, I would like to ask the students, what do you think are the problems on food, agriculture, and environment? Anything? Anyone? Don't be shy. I will not bite. Anyone? Yes? Yes. Greenhouse gas emissions. What else? Yes. Unsustainable agriculture practices. Anybody else? Yes. Inefficient use of natural resources. Anyone from that side? From Musa-san side? Anybody from the Japanese? Oh, yes. Overuse of inputs. Anybody else? Japanese students. Are you here? Anyone? Any? Yes, Sensei. Sensei, just student. Desu ka? Yes. Discrimination. Anybody else? I need more ideas. Yes, Stuki. Low productivity. I'm still waiting. Yes. Okay, for lack of farmers' education. From the Japanese. And you? Anything? Climate change. I know you have other ideas. You're just a little bit, you just arrived yesterday. I know you're still shy, but I think in a while you'll be okay. Yes, those issues were the same issues that we had 25 years ago. Almost the same problems. Almost the same problems. And Nodai actually thought of us, not anymore me, students. Students are the key. Students might have ideas that we don't have. There are so many professionals, so many senseis, but all the problems in the world have not been solved. And Tokyo Nodai thought of or believes that agricultural science is the key. That's one. Students are the key. And that's why on 2001, the first ISS was organized. That was just a one event that Nodai actually organized for its 110th 110th founding anniversary. So you can see here, which one is pointer? There. This is so we thought the food security is our food secure, food safe. Those are the things, some of the things that we thought of, that Tokyo Nodai thought of. And the same, a few years back, Tokyo Nodai also started its internationalization. So many foreign students from different partners universities started studying in Nodai, at Nodai, including me. Where is my roommate? City Sensei is the same. She was also the same. And we were actually part of the first. And I think we were the key drivers. The foreign students were the key drivers for the first. So why students? Because you can innovate. You have all the abilities. You can be advocates. If you find something that you believe in, you just push for that. Stewards also, you're responsible. And you can be leaders. So that's why Tokyo Nodai gave the students free hand to to discuss, share ideas, and find ways to make this world a better place through sustainable development. So those things are some that we have to actually thank Nodai for giving us this. So why? So ISS is to foster a global academic collaboration through food, agriculture, and environment. So those are the things. There are so many challenges. So free hand for you to discuss. Also, and next one is it's for you to actually learn together. It's a shared learning. Although you are from different countries, different continents, you will find that there are similarities, same problems. Maybe how to solve it might be different, but you can find different best practices among you. Then ISS can actually cultivate leaders. You are the leaders. We are already old. Unfortunately, I'm part of the old side. You're already on the young side. So I'm already, how say that? On behalf of the 24 participants, 24 ISS participants, we are already sending everything, all the responsibilities to you. It's you have to do everything on your side. So here's a picture. I don't know if you see somebody that you know in that picture. Miori Sensei is there with Fujimoto Sensei and all the participants during the first ISS Summit. I can truly say they're still my friends right now. One call away, we can actually talk and collaborate. You can do the same. All right. So this is how ISS first looks like. We had a stage everybody can still sit in. We even went to a trip. We had parties. This is us discussing. First time to see, discussing per session, what to do during general discussion. This is how we did it. And you can see all the smiles that we had. You will have the same. You're still shy right now and maybe nervous. For the first student summit, we came up with main issues. And we found that these were the common issues that we had. Environmental conservation, finding ways or finding friendly environmentally friendly agriculture, or we're pushing for organic agriculture, but not the organic agriculture that time. Maybe there's a better version of organic agriculture. And then biotechnology, we were talking about GMO, is it safe or not? Then food security, food safety, and food security. One thing that we found very most important is students network. We really wanted to collaborate or connect each other. And these were all summarized in the adoption of Tokyo Declaration. You can actually see this later if you want. Then, as I've mentioned earlier, it was just one ISS. Tokyo Nodai didn't actually prepared for the next ISS. But since it was a very highly evaluated, everybody were satisfied, let's do it again. So we had the second. We were lucky. We were not thinking about the themes. we still had the same theme. So using the first Tokyo Declaration, we ended up making action plans for each. We decided that do not make the action plans very specific. We try to make it adaptable to all the countries and communities. You can do the same. And what we actually really looked at is the students network. We need to be connected. So let us form International Students Forum. So you will be hearing what's ISF, ISF. So we created that to actually, for the third summit, third ISS onwards, the International Student Summit will fully organize ISS. And we were doing that. Tokyo NODAI had an ISS, and we had maybe around 100 students, Japanese and foreign students, actually organizing everything in the room, in the stage, everything. Okay. Another innovative thing that we did is, even there was Corona, we stopped for 1 year, yes. But CGI Tokyo NODAI realized that we can do this through online. So on its 21st International Student Summit, we had it online. It was more dynamic experience for students from Tokyo NODAI and its global partners. I think all the continents that time were represented. It was really, really big. Yes. So we are very proud of that. So even the discussions were, although different timelines, data timelines, we were able to discuss. They were able to discuss. So the road to 25th ISS, as written here, we had it in 2001 with only 9 countries, 9 sister universities, and 10 invited. The other presenters were all from Tokyo NODAI, including City Sensei sitting there. Yes. She was also a scholar like me that time. Then we also had, from 2012, we also opened doors for our sister universities or global partners to actually organize ISS in their universities. The first one was in Michigan in 2012. And then on the 14th was it Kasetsart in Thailand, Kasetsart University, Thailand. And then 27 in Nalochungsing University, Taiwan. And 2025, last year in ISS, IPB University. So you can see that Tokyo NODAI is not just, ISS is not just Tokyo NODAI. It's actually a product, a platform given to you by all the global partner universities. And we are expecting next year, we are excited that it will be held in University of Los Baños, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Looking at the numbers, I talked with Musa-san a few days ago and found out that there are about 700 presenters, including you. I already included our presenters this year. So it's really getting bigger, more diverse, and larger reach. You can see in the lower part, it doesn't include student staff are not included, meaning there are actually more involved in this ISS. We can say maybe double at least, more, I think more, because if we had ISF, 100 or 50 per year, so more involvements for every year. So evolution of ISS activities. For the early ISS, as I mentioned earlier, there's a high involvement of ISF members. And then normally, the usual common process is students submit abstracts, they come to Tokyo, they attend the ISS week. That will be the first time for them to meet everyone and stay overnight somewhere nearby Tokyo. And then start discussing the next ISS theme. And then hold 2-day ISS event and participate in culture actions. For the early ISS participants, they only actually discuss when they arrive in Tokyo, meaning they only have about 2-3 days to actually do everything. But for the recent ISS, submit abstracts, organize pre-summit to meet and discuss by group. I know some of you do discuss maybe during night or early morning, but you actually try to arrange the best time for you. Then arrive in the host country and attend ISS week. And then you continue discussions by group and start discussions for the next theme. And the same, hold ISS event and participate in cultural events. In the recent ISS, I may say that the ISF involvement is a little bit lower because of the Corona time. So we really had a very low number of members of ISF. So we're trying right now to actually increase visibility and the number of members. So hopefully in a few years, ISF will be fully organized by students. I also hope that other university cities will have the same ISF. As I can remember, we had ISF Brazil few years, and ISF Japan and ISF Brazil were actually collaborating or doing some activities online. So I hope you can do the same too. Keywords from ISS themes. I tried to check by decades on the themes. On the first decade, it's mostly the usual. Food, agriculture, environment, trying to understand it, trying to know the importance and promote it. Those were the main topics that the students had. But as you remember, NODAI wants students or wish students to actually have more action, students action, students on the ground, students collaborating and trying to actually solve problems in their communities or countries. I saw that in the second decade. So I saw some light. We saw some light. As you can see, students, that's the biggest one. And agriculture, action were the next ones. Take action. So we're actually moving a little bit slow, but moving forward. That's what's very, very important. So let's see. For the recent 5 years, you can see that there's youth, more of the youth in the theme. And some themes are quite long. You can see topics, so many topics written on the theme. That's okay. But I can maybe suggest to this group, you are not the ones who will actually present next year. You really have to think of the participants for the next year. Okay? So I would like to actually commend the 24th ISS group because they have a shorter title, a more direct title that you can actually, the current ISS participants can actually discuss. And then I was like, good term, push. So it's a good, how say that, point for the next 25. It's a good pressure, pressure to the new, for the current ISS participants. What do you want ISS to be in the next 25 years? It's all in your hands. ISS advisors are here. but we are just here to guide you. We will be around to support you on whatever you want to do. So 25 years of ISS and beyond, I can say that ISS can actually help advance global research and education. I can say that. It's very impactful. It helps, it drives the international learning and initiatives and research collaborations. I'm actually surprised because some ISS students are actually in Tokyo NODAI now doing masters. I recently knew that there's one Tokyo NODAI professor who is an ISS participant representing their university, studied in NODAI, and now a professor. So there are cases like that, I think, in other countries too. So you can be like that as well. So collaboration is something that we have to do. Another one is broaden students' perspective. You're all from different cultures, different countries. Share. This is a place for you to share your knowledge and experiences and the best practices of your countries, of your communities as well. ISS also encourage critical inquiry during your discussions, during your sharing of your presentations. You will find new actually methods you can use in your countries as well. This is good. The next one is ISS also give you connections and skills. You can have more friends. You can have more camaraderie. And you have to cherish that. You don't know the person sitting beside you will be a professor after a few years. You don't know. He or she will be the next Bill Gates. You don't know. Or maybe a Nobel Peace Prize winner. We don't know. So connectivities are very, very important. So please do cherish that. The last one would be ISS as cultivates global citizenship. You would actually understand that international cooperation is very important. We only have one Earth. We only have one place to live in. And it's in your hands. It's in the students' hands on how to actually make this a better place through sustainable development. I would like to use or take this opportunity to actually represent as a representative of ISS participants. I would like to thank Tokyo NODAI. ISS will not be successful without the strong support from our presidents, from Shinji Soya, Professor Dr. Shinji Soya, Professor Kanjo Sawa, Professor Katsumi Takano, and our current president, Professor Dr. Fumio Eguchi. I also would like to take this opportunity to thank our beloved professors who actually left us earlier. That would be Professor Dr. Akimi Fujimoto, Professor Dr. Catello, and Professor Dr. Hiroyuki Inaizumi. They really loved ISS. They really love students. They really want the students to excel and to be the next generation leaders. Dr. Professor Akimi Fujimoto actually made this ISS with all the Tokyo University professors. So thank you for that. I would like to also thank the pioneers. As I've mentioned earlier, ISS was just actually one event for Tokyo NODAI. But because of all the presenters, the professors, the staff who handled or organized this in the first and second, it made it successful. You will see all students there from different laboratories, staffs as well, since we didn't still had ISF then. We also would like to thank all our global partners for the trust and confidence in believing in the ISS spirit. We also would like to thank the advisors, ISS advisors. Some of them are here in the picture from different countries. We also had sponsors. I cannot name them right now, but there are a lot of sponsors we had. And I would like to thank Tokyo NODAI Center for Global Initiative staff for being there, helping the students to organize ISS, especially during Corona. Because as I've mentioned earlier, the members of ISF actually really decreased a lot, and it was not possible to actually for them to organize it. So for the past 21 year from 2020, I think from 2020 onwards until now, the staff of CGI is helping us a lot. So thank you very much for that. And then lastly, I cannot mention everybody. I know there are more individuals and institutions who are directly and indirectly involved in ISS. Thank you very much. Maybe we can clap our hands for appreciation. Thank you very much. I have a few pictures so you can see just fine. This is the third ISS with the ISF members. Maybe we can say there are about 20 presenters. So all the students that you can see there, all ISF members. This is the fourth ISS pictures. Katelo Sensei is there. City Sensei is there. I'm there too. And then fifth ISS, since we do field trips, so we go somewhere else. This is the sixth ISS. This is how we do general discussions, general Sogotoron that time. And then this is how they do group work online. They didn't sleep because the next day or 2 days after, it's ISS already. And then this is the 10th ISS. We actually invited some of past participants from the first and the fourth, I think. Yes. And we had the special session, and on your right side, the picture on your right side are also participants. This is the 11th ISS. Since we still didn't have this building, we do it in the Centennial Hall. So we actually invite more students to actually discuss and listen to the presentations. The 12th was in MSU. So some of the students, maybe 10 or 15 students from NODAI went to MSU to hold ISS. Sorry, we're jumping. I didn't have all the pictures. This is the 18th ISS with some of the pictures of some of the ISS advisors. And this is on your left picture. Students are actually talking, what can we do as a student? I think this is something that you can actually discuss for this 25th ISS. What can students do? You don't ask, what can you do? You don't do that because we live in the same earth. What can we do? Okay? So it's important that you think as students, what can you do? Better not include what government can do, what university can do. We don't have money. That's the normal discussions that past students have. Better not think of that. Think out of the box. Think out of the box. There might be some ideas or innovations that you students can actually have. Don't be afraid to discuss. It might be, if I say this idea, maybe I'm wrong. Don't do that. Just say it. And then you will have some feedback from other students. And then the 23rd ISS, we had it here. So as an image, you will be having an ISS like this. Okay? You will be presenting here, and the general discussion will be like this. Then 24th last year, I was there too. It was really nice. The energy was full. At first, you will see on your right hand side this picture. They're all nervous. But after a while, you can see the upper picture, they're all happy, fulfilled. And you'll be the same too. All right? Cultural, some discussions as well, and some group pictures. So this is actually the journey that you will have in just 1 week. So I hope that you will actually cherish that week and have all the discussions needed. So for me, congratulations, not to ISS, to all of us who are actually part of ISS 25th anniversary. So let us make this world a better place. Keep safe, stay healthy, and God bless us all. Thank you. So, because as you know, we have about at least 700 presenters around the world and other students involved in ISS. So we, as with CGI, we actually ask alumni to give testimonials. And let us look back and look forward. So John, please. So those are the alumni testimonials. We will continue collecting testimonials. So after this ISS, you can already submit your testimonials. That's okay. And welcome to ISF family. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Shimoguchi. It is wonderful to see how ISS has positively influenced so many participants throughout its history. And the messages from our alumni were truly inspiring, and we hope the connections built through ISS will continue for many years to come. And it was also good opportunity to see your photos taken 25 years ago. And now we will invite the general chairperson to briefly explain the schedules and provide guidance for the upcoming sessions. So general chairpersons, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Ohayou gozaimasu. Welcome to Japan. Welcome to Tokyo University of Agriculture, and welcome to the 25th International Student Summit on Food, Agriculture, and Environment. My name is Kentaro Yagyu. I am one of the general chairpersons of the 25th ISS, together with my fellow general chairperson, Aya Osman. I'm honored to welcome you all to Tokyo NODAI today. It is truly wonderful to see everyone here in person today. And after many preparations, online meetings, messages, and travel from different countries and universities, we are finally gathered here together at Tokyo NODAI. This year marks the 25th International Student Summit. Reaching the 25th summit is a meaningful milestone, as Nia Sensei said. ISS has continued for many years because students, universities, and advisors have shared the same belief. That young people can learn from each other, exchange ideas, and think together about the future of food, agriculture, and environment. The theme of this year's ISS is pushing boundaries, inclusive activities for community welfare. This theme reminds us that agriculture and food systems are not only about production or technology. We all belong together. We all belong to communities and the dynamic world we live in. Those communities face many challenges, such as climate change, environmental sustainability, poverty, and social inclusion. However, by sharing our experiences and ideas, we can learn new ways to approach these challenges. During this summit, we will hear presentations from many different universities and countries. Each presentation reflects a unique background, a unique community, and a unique perspective. The topics will range from agriculture and farming to education, community development, environmental protection, food safety, and social welfare. Even though the topics are different, they're all connected by one important question. How can we create a better and more inclusive future for our communities? ISS is not only a place to present research or projects, it is also a place to listen, ask questions, discuss, and build friendships. I would like everyone to encourage everyone to actively participate in all of the discussions that we are going to be having over the ISS week. At this point, I would like to pass on the mic to my fellow general chairperson, Aya Osman, who will continue with our today's schedule and important announcement for this week.
Hi, everyone. I want you to bring the program book so we can see. So now I would like to explain the overall flow of ISS week. So this afternoon will be used for practice and group presentation. There will be two main sessions. The first session is the group-based preparation, which will be held from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. And during this time, each group is free to use conference room 1 and conference room 2. Please use this time to meet with your group members and chairpersons, check your presentation order, confirm your discussion flow, and prepare your group session. And the second session will be here at Enomoto Hall. So it will be held from 2:40 p.m. to 5 p.m. And during this preparation, each group will have 20 minutes to practice and check the slides are compatible with the equipment here. So please make sure that your PowerPoint slide, video found, and any other materials work properly. So the preparation order will be as follows. So please consult page 5 of the program book. So for group group A, it will be from 2:40 p.m. to 3:30. For Group B, it will be from 3 p.m. to 3:20. For Group C, 3:20 to 3:40. For Group D, 3:40 to 4 p.m. For Group E, 4 p.m. to 4:20. For Group F, 4:20 to 4:40. And for Group G, 4:40 to 5 p.m. So please, Jose, we kindly ask each group to be ready before the preparation time so that we can process smoothly. If you have any technical problem, please let the organizing member know as soon as possible. So tomorrow, July 1st, we will begin the first presentation session. So group A, B, C, and D will present tomorrow. On July 2nd, group E, F, and G will present, followed by the ISS workshop. On July 3rd, we will have the general discussion here at Enomoto Hall in the morning. So this will be important opportunity to bring together the ideas from all group and discuss overall conclusion on the recommendation of this year ISS and come up with the next ISS team in 2027, which will be held in the University of Philippines, Los Banos. So in the afternoon, we will have the closing ceremony followed by the farewell party, and we hope that by the end of this summit, everyone will not only gain knowledge, but also build meaningful connection with people who are present here. So before closing this announcement, I would like to once again thank everyone for coming here at Tokyo NODAI, and we are very happy to welcome you here, and we hope that this summit will be a valuable experience for all of you. So let's make this 25th meaningful, productive, and memorable summit for all together. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, General Chairpersons. We look forward to the presentations discussions that will take place from tomorrow. And we wish all presenters and chairpersons the very best in their preparations today. As we come to the close of this opening program, it is my pleasure to invite Professor Dr. Machito Mihara, Vice President of Tokyo University of Agriculture, to deliver the closing remarks. The Vice President Mihara.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Machito Mihara, Vice President for International Affairs. So could you enjoy opening session? What could you learn? There are many things, I think. Professor Dr. Nina kindly introduced about the history of the 25th ISS. Before that, the Professor Dr. Miyaura mentioned 1972, we had the one important the Environment and Human Conference by United Nations. After the most important things is was conducted is the 1992 UNECD, United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. And then clearly they define the meaning of the sustainability. Sustainability stands for three important keywords: social aspect, environmental aspect, and the economics. And the agroecology was introduced by the Professor Dr. Abesel Alexander. So it was a very important content, and it's including all of the three factors. So it is so much appreciated. So the keywords of this time ISS is pushing boundaries inclusive activities for community welfare. So may I ask you, what kind of the boundary could you push? There are many boundaries, I think. Yeah, so I really want to ask you, what kind of boundary do you feel existing in your field? Are there any? Yeah, so yeah, I have been working as the faculty member at the Tokyo University of Agriculture. At the same time, I have been working as an international NGO, mainly working in Southeast Asia. There are many discriminations. And then people are starving. They don't have enough money. They cannot attend here. Yeah, they are suffering every day. Not only Asia, in Africa as well. So there, every time I think, what is our responsibility? So they come here. Yeah, it is so much appreciated. You come here and then kindly coming to the Tokyo University of Agriculture for attending the 25th ISS. But your responsibility is not to make the better presentation, nor to your mother's university. So I think the most important responsibility is how you can contribute to your community, right? Not here, to your country, to your area, to your community. That is your responsibility. And then, so one of the key important things is to think globally, act locally. Yeah, so I hope. So maybe you can communicate and you can learning each other at the 25th ISS. But your action should be conducted after coming back to your country and then to your communities. I do wish you all the best during the 25th ISS. And then, yeah, it is very important to have the very good network among you. So if you have any trouble in your remote area, your countryside, your community, so they can communicate and then maybe you can support each other. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice President Mihara. Okay. Now, this concludes the opening program of the 25th Student Summit. As explained by the general chairpersons, presenters and the chairpersons are kindly requested to follow the schedule accordingly. Thank you to everyone joining us today, both in person and online. Please note that tomorrow's sessions will also be broadcast live by Microsoft Teams. Once again, thank you very much for your participation. We look forward to seeing all of you again in the upcoming sessions. Have a wonderful and fruitful week. Thank you very much.